Hi everyone. So let's discuss about the list. So it is one of the collection type available in Dart programming language, list. So if you are aware about other programming language, array, so list is, you can say, like a equivalent of array with some sort of extended functionality. So we'll try to create the first list and from the two different perspectives. So one is like a growing list. So you will keep adding the object inside the list. So it has no finite dimension that how many total number of objects you can add. Another one is like a fixed length list. So you can consider that particular fixed length list is like a array in other programming language. Let's first create a fixed length list. Let me create a variable, let's say lst. Okay. Let's just add 3 elements. Okay, so let's add a 3 element inside this lst variable, which is of type list. So you can use like lst0, let's say 10, lst1. So this is at a 0 location, this is the first location, and this is a second location. And let's just add the third one. Okay, and let me print it. Okay, so let's just run. So it has printed the 3 numbers. Now this is a fixed length list. So if we try to, let's say, I'll try to add one more element. So lst 3. Let's say I'll add 40 to the 4th element. And if I try to run it, it will throw me the error. So if you observe the error that invalid value not in a range 0 to 2 inclusive 3. So we have already defined that you can just add 3 maximum element whose indexing are starting from 0, 1 and a 2. But here we are adding one more extra element which is not allowed. This is like a multiple value you want to store, but in a very advanced, you already know about it, how many total number of values you want to store in an array, or that is called the fixed length list. Now let's define another list which is a variable in nature. So I'll just give like a, let's say flst here also. So it's okay, and we'll define another variable like a growing lst. So glst I'll create. Okay, now here you can add as many number of object you want to add, you can add it. So let's say I'll just want to add glst dot add. Now here you can't add like this, you have to use this add method on the top of this glst object which is of type list. So I'm going to use this add method, and let me add, let's say 10, or let's add 20, let's add 30, let me add 40, and let's just print it. So now let's just run. So now you can see we can add as many elements we want to add, we can add it. We can even add a string also. So let's say hello. So hello also will come. If you want to add, let's say, the boolean variable, you can add a boolean variable also. So 10, 20, 30, 40, hello and true. Okay, so this way you can define a fixed length list. So here you need to explicitly supply that how many total number of elements you want in your list. And whenever you don't want to you don't know about how many total number of elements you want to insert, you can use this particular syntax. You do not need to supply that how many total number of, you can just keep it like a blank, and then with the help of add method you can keep adding the object. Now if you observe one thing, in both the case we can even add a hello and true and all those things also here. So in both the case we are just haphazardly putting any kind of object. But let's say we want to restrict some list to be like only integer values, or you can say like only double values, or you can say like only string values. So how we can restrict one particular list to be a, let's say, same data type? So let's define a string, and along the string we'll define with this particular type of brackets like a string. So str list, and I'll define okay. So this is a string list I have added. Now let me try to add, let's say, hello. Let's add dart, and let's just print it. So you can see hello and dart has been printed. Now let's say if I try to add some other data type, so let's say 24, it will immediately throw me the error that argument type integer cannot be assigned to the parameter type string, because I have already explicitly given here as a generic, you can say that you have to provide all element which is of type string. So if I try to run it, it will throw me the error that a type integer is not a subtype of string, so you cannot assign this integer as you have already declared this particular string or a list as a type string. So all element you can insert which is of type, which must be of type string only. Okay, so let's add one more element, and we'll see hello dart welcome, and let me just run it. So hello dart and welcome. Okay, so far so good. We have seen how to create a list. Now let's see what are the more operation you can perform on the top of list. So let's say we want to know how many total number of objects or elements are contained in that particular list. You can use like print. Let's experiment with this str list length function, and let me just run it. So there are total 3 elements are there inside this str list. Now let's say if I want to find what is the index of this particular object, I can use like dot index of, let's say, dart. I want to know the index of element dart. So it's a 1 because it is at a 1 location. So it is this is as a 0 location, this is first, and this is second. So let's say instead of dart, I'm trying to find, let's say, dart 1 to 3, which is not available in our list. So what it will return? So it has returned -1. That means that particular element doesn't exist. Now let's say I want to find what is the object at location 0 or location 1. So I can use like an element at, let's say, 0. So it should be hello. So it is a hello. If I do like element at, let's say, 2, it should be welcome. So it is a welcome. Apart from that, if you see str list, you can apply a lot of different methods like a sorting, or you can insert, you can add, you can even add a number of elements at one go. You can remove the last element, you can remove the particular element at this particular index only, or you can set it as a, okay, you can convert all your object which is inside this list as a map also. You can shuffle all those elements, you can find the first element, you can use this contains, that whether that particular object contains in your list or not. So you can experiment with a number of methods and number of operation you can apply, different operation you can apply on top of this list object. Okay, so that is all about the list object. In the next video we'll see more about another collection data type like a set map.